Let's gather up the sheep. Not drink. So did she have drink? Oh, yeah, you looked to me. All right, Dan. Okay, please come to order. The regular meeting of the Ascension Parish Council, November 1st, 2018. Please stand for the prayer to be led by Councilman Randy Cluott, followed by the pledge.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for bringing our parish and our area through the hurricane season of 2018. And as we still have some left, according to the books, we ask that you bring us completely through it. We ask that you continue to look down on our parish and our folks and take them through these times. We ask that you continue to watch over all of our folks in law enforcement, emergency, and especially our military people, both local and abroad, and keep them safe and bring them back home to their families. Lord, it's with a heavy heart. We ask for some special blessings on the Hort family for the loss of Val Hort. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call tonight. I think we have Councilwoman Casso is out of town and Councilman Satterley. Is that correct? They're Lawless. Okay. All right, chair's additions. I have one thing tonight. I passed this out earlier to some of the council members, but for December, I'm proposing that we only have one meeting, and that will be on Thursday, December the 13th, in the East Ascension Courthouse. For as committee meetings for the month of December, there will be no scheduled committee meetings, but the individual chairpersons can schedule any if they desire, and those will be during the week of December the 10th. So anybody has any comments on that, please see me after the meeting.
You need a motion?
I'm sorry?
You need a motion?
No, I mean, we can't. Don't want to do that?
You're the boss. You're the boss. No, you don't need a motion.
I didn't
think. You can't add a motion without adding it to the agenda.
Yeah, there you go.
We're good with that.
Okay, public comment sign-in period. So there are cards at the podium. If you want to comment on an agenda item, then come and fill those out, and you'll get 3 minutes. President Matassa.
As you know, we did a contract with a contractor to help us catch up on our ditch digging work. This company has done a really fine job, and you're going to hear all about it at the Drainage Board meeting. And he's about to finish his first phase contract. So we got all hands on deck out there trying to get everybody's drainage straight, but we're still catching up. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, consent agenda, Ms. McKee.
Approval of substantial completion on the Oak Grove splash pad repair in the amount of $68,000.
Okay, a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion. Got a motion by Councilman Lawler, second by Councilman Cagnolati. Yeah. Mr. Todd Lambert.
Got on, maybe, Mr. Parish President. $68,000, what repair was this on the splash park? What was it that?
If y'all remember, they have a busted line under the concrete, and right when we was ready to open it, he was trying to fix it, but the weather delayed it, so we made it. We had he had won the contract, and we got him to delay till after the season, after Labor Day to close, and he finally finished it and fixed it.
And also, maybe Ms. Gwen might far as the water bill on these parks, could you give me a rough idea on the busy month? What are we looking at? Because I've heard one time and the number was way up there, and I was.
Well, you know, those spray parks were not built for recycled water, which we're looking to do.
And I questioned that right when we built
The next one we build, we'll have it. But I mean, we were looking at what it would cost to put the recycle part on there. I don't know, Mr. Joseph, you kind of know the numbers on some of that stuff. You remember?
I remember 3,000 on one of them at the Oak Grove at one time.
I'll be lying if I tell you. I don't know.
But I just want to let everybody know, this is coming out of recreation fund.
Yes, correct,
It's an
Councilman.
expense that we didn't have a few years ago, and now we have 2 parks, and it does add up pretty good on the bills, you know, so.
I will get that information to all of y'all Monday.
And it does come out of the rec fund.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, appreciate it.
Further questions, discussion, Mr. Kluat.
Yeah, I want the next spray park in Seminole Park. I'm gonna work it, we're gonna try to work recycled water.
You put that between District 2 and...
You have to work on that.
Any further questions or comments? Any opposition? Hearing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Committee recommendations, item number 7, Personnel Committee recommendations, Chairman Benny Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we had a meeting, we had a couple of boards, we had some reappointments for and one new appointment. For the Industrial Development Board, we'd like the Personnel Committee recommends Mike Tony for appointment to that board.
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman John Cagnolati. Any opposition?
The board also, or the committee also recommends Mr. Justin Champlin to be reappointed to that board.
Motion by Councilman Cagnolati, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any opposition? Discussion? Appointed.
The committee recommends Ms. Veronica Hilliard be reappointed to the Child and Youth Services Planning Board.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Cagnolati. Discussion, opposition. Motion adopted.
The committee also recommends reappointing Ms. Donna Gainyard to the Child and Youth Services Planning Board.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman John Cagnolati. Opposition, discussion. Motion's adopted.
That concludes our report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. General business, item number 8, approval to accept the proposal by Humana for Ascension Parish Government Employee Insurance for 2019 and to continue paying $125 monthly contribution to employees' health savings account. This was deferred from our October 18th meeting. Mr. Harry Robert and Christie.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Well, I guess you can see I was as happy with the process as I was with the results. Well, we were fortunate enough now to have some final figures from 3 different reputable companies, and all of them actually ended up with a reasonable quote for us, okay? The bottom 2 challenges was probably less than 1% difference between them, which is Humana and United Health, okay? Some of the process that we use, naturally we include all of the committee members and get the opinion of the services and the benefits and everything that we've had for a while with our carriers. And that was one of the things, I guess, probably that was most revealing in all our exercises and going through the process, was hearing from the committee, and then probably after you hear from them, trying to digest some of the things that you hear. It was overwhelming, you know, with the attitude and the direction that the committee would prefer going in, okay? We were insured last year with United Health, and then from our perspective, you know, had normal amount of activity which we had to provide assistance to in corrections, and then from the Human Resource Department, which Krista's involved in, you know, she's also involved in making some of those corrections and getting involved in processing anything that becomes a problem or a question in it, okay? The attitude of the committee was that 100% of them ended up being dissatisfied with United Health for one reason or another and wanting to go with Humana, okay? when Councilman Oliver Joseph attended one of the meetings, he asked to verify that. So we asked them to give us something in writing that showed where there was that much dissatisfaction with the current carrier. Whenever we got that information, it wasn't as serious as perceived. We had probably several instances which could have been probably contentious, but nothing really was astronomical enough to cause any severe pains or problems in any way, shape, or form. Now, when you deal with it from the human resources perspective, which is dealing with the statistics and some of the figures and formulas, it seems as though that probably Krista experienced a little bit more, of a problem than the insured person did dealing with the pharmacists or the providers, anything of that nature, So, I guess probably we have a tough decision to make because, you have two reputable companies and you have a company which provided us everything we needed, last year, and then a company that provided us the same thing for 6 years before that. And this year we have to make a decision as to which company you want us to be insured with in the future. Okay, so it's kind of obvious the difference totally between the pricing structure on a year is about $48,000, which means that to the parish that represents $36,000, which is $3,000 a month. More than what the other company is. So, if you listen to the committee, then probably it warrants making a change to the higher price and giving your constituents something that they obviously desire for very much. If you look at it strictly objectively, then maybe you might want to consider, giving the company that's insuring you now an opportunity maybe to correct some of the problems that they've experienced in the first year, and then remain with them a period longer. So it's a decision that has to be made, and Christy probably wants to give her viewpoint, before probably y'all make a decision on which way you'd like to go. And also at some point, I don't know the relativity of it, but we have representatives from both of those companies. If any of y'all want to ask any questions to, they'll be happy to entertain anything for you.
Christy. We'd like to hear from Christy.
So, as Harry said, the viewpoint of the committee and the majority of the employees that work for the parish is that they wish to switch back to Humana. The reasons for that are numerous things. Administratively, we had issues enrolling. Addresses were wrong that had to be corrected. Probably over 100 addresses had to be corrected because they were enrolled wrongly. The formulary for United Healthcare is extremely small compared to the formulary for Humana. Humana's formulary is a national formulary, so most every medication is covered. So the prescriptions were one of the main issues. We found out that until you met your deductible, you received no type of discount on your prescription. You paid what the prescription cost at cost until you met your deductible. And then as long as the prescription is covered, then you get it for free. Okay? The maximum allowable costs with United Healthcare to see a physician or go to the emergency room or something like that was more expensive than the maximum allowable cost with Humana. So while, our employees who make decent money, that's not a problem, but my concern always is for the other employees who can't necessarily afford that higher maximum allowable cost whenever they go to the doctor in January or February, before they have time to build up money on their HSA cards. So it was those issues, and of course, me, I'm always going to harp on the wellness. I'm a big proponent of Humana's wellness program, and Mr. Joseph, I believe you asked for a monetary figure on what that 6% that we saved that year was. $256,000 is what the employees, by participating in the wellness program, saved off of the renewal quote that we got from Humana for 2018. So we feel like, as a group with Humana, we have a way to possibly control the cost of next year's renewal. Unfortunately, with United Healthcare, we do not have that option. Yes.
I'll call on the chair. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead if you have questions. I'm good.
So I just wanted, before we open it up, I had a few questions about the numbers, just to make sure I'm looking at this correctly. So what I'm, what I'm seeing is about a less than 1% increase, or about $50,000
Exactly.
overall. Is that correct? And then
Right.
out of that, the parish portion of that's about $36,000
Correct.
increase. Is
Correct.
that correct?
Right.
And please explain to me the $256,000 that was saved. I guess that was the year that we had
Yeah.
Humana, which was year before last. Is that correct?
Correct.
So is there a possibility that will that affect the parish's contribution and the employee contribution, or
It affects the overall renewal amount, so it affects both.
maybe, Harry, somebody tell me how that works?
Well, okay, it works that probably, it's figured in the final computation of the rate that they're gonna charge you. Now, when we receive.
So let's say right now, let's just throw some numbers in there, and let's
Let me give you an
say that-
exact figure.
All right.
Last year, whenever Humana, gave us their rate, it included a 6% deduction, and that resulted in a $430,000 higher premium than we received from United Health, including the 6% deviation that we got because of the wellness program.
Because the initial quote that we got from Humana was at 13-14% increase over the current amount.
No, but I'm following all that, but I'm wondering, like, can you make the $50,000 up through the wellness program in this contract for 2019?
I don't know if there's a guarantee that you can, because the renewals are always based off of the cost-loss ratio for the current year, so I'm not exactly sure.
So the only way you can realize that is to renew with Humana for 2020.
20, right.
Is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
For a typical year.
That's why I didn't quite figure out how that worked. But
Exactly. Exactly right.
that's all I had, and we'll open that up to Mr. Kluat.
Yeah, so I guess some of my questions were answered based on the employees and based on you guys coming up with the feasibility of us trying to work with the employees and get them what they want. And so, you made a statement about, you took a look at, and you said your heart, well, I'm glad your heart generally is in the right place. And that's what it should be. We do run a business, but we represent people. And you represent the people that work for the parish.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm going to just throw it out there that the mean average of, if you take the total number of employees in the parish and take the income that not necessarily poverty level, but lower to middle income, okay? On a lot of positions that we hold and that we work within this parish.
Yes, sir.
So, my heart's in the position that if anything we can do to help them, that's what I want to do.
I agree.
And so I'm good with this.
Okay. Any further, Mr. Joseph?
Mr. Robin, on this insurance, when it comes up to renewal.
Right.
Okay? Humana.
Okay.
All right. The odds are any other company coming to look at Ascension Parish to put in quotes again. What are the odds? United Health, Blue Cross, or anyone like that? We got one from Blue Cross.
Right.
But they're not in the ball game.
Right. Well, it would probably put us in a precarious situation as far as Humana or United Health would be concerned if either one of them would be in the same shoes. Because United Health came in last year with a $430,000 cheaper premium, which we accepted with the same benefits. They had a few problems like Christy was pointing out. But again, to reiterate, we had 4 different phases of insurance with over 600 lives. So that's a lot of activity that we had going on that we had potential problems with. It was the first year of insuring with that particular company. You kind of expect some problems, and that's our job, just to work through them, whenever you have them. Probably in all indications, the second year and each year after would subsequently get probably easier and easier, and probably the problems might not exist again, those type things. But I guess probably, overall, when you look at the amount of problems that we had United Health that were probably more serious problems than you would anticipate, I don't think it was that many of them, you know. I think probably that most of the problems that we had were problems that's going to be, you know, experienced irregardless, because all your formularies, your pharmaceuticals change for every company just about every year, you know. And not only do they change year in, sometimes they change during the year. Sometimes your providers are in and out the system, so that can cause a problem. You have assistants that work with all your providers that sometimes they might, you know, code something wrong. Well, we all have to get involved in those things and try to make those corrections. So when you're dealing with that many people, with those many different types of insurance, you're going to expect some type of problem. You know, it's just natural to be able to do that.
My next question, before we had United Health, the year before that, Humana came in at, if I'm not recalling, you say 13%?
Before we got the 6% discount, correct. Their final, after the 6%, was a 7% increase. We went with United Healthcare because I think they came in at 1% increase?
Yeah, 1.2%, and that which resulted in a net difference between the two companies of $420,000 last year, you see. This year, they're still about, well, $48,000 cheaper than Humana, you know, when Humana came back this year. So it's, you know, it's just a decision that has to be made as to whether or not you're going to look at it objectively, you know, with the company that's involved and the few dollars difference, or you can look at it subjectively, you know, with the request of the majority of the committee. You know, either way, I can understand either decision that would be made. You know, just some decisions are easy and some decisions are tough.
Okay. That's all I have.
I'll make the motion that we accept the recommendation from the employees.
I second that.
Which that's clarified, that's to the contract with Humana.
Correct.
All right. So a motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluott to accept the recommendation of the committee and use Humana.
One quick question.
Mr. Lawler.
I just want to be sure that, you know, what I'm seeing here is that it's going to result in an increase in the cost for the employees also.
Right.
Not just the parish.
Right.
So as long as they're good with that.
Right.
They're good.
Yeah, yeah. It absorbed 25% of the increase.
So that they have a little skin in the game also.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, any further questions? Mr. Cluott.
Yeah, I just want to say that, hey, you know, we got other committees, within our committees, within drainage, within utilities, within recreation, you know. We flying dollar figures around that don't even, this is like the tip.
Right.
To the waiter, okay?
Yep.
And we don't do any of that without our employees. All right. So I want to give them every opportunity to stay healthy, their family healthy, and let's get a good workforce.
Okay, and just to make sure, that does include the approval of the $125 for their HSA accounts?
Right.
Is that the
recommendation?
motion, Mr.
Okay.
Recommendation, we'd like to have that, right.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
Okay. Further discussion, questions?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
I'm gonna object to the Humana, but I will not object to the 125, so we can split that motion and make them separate.
That's not gonna happen.
Well, you got a motion right now. We have.
I object.
You could make a substitute motion.
I can make the substitute, all right, I'll make the substitute motion that we split the insurance from
HSA.
So
Yeah.
yes, substitute
HSA.
motion would be to just adopt the 125.
Yes.
Okay. We got a motion to, a substitute motion to adopt the 125 separately. No second. Motion dies. We have, now we have a motion on the floor, Councilman Dempsey Lambert to appoint Humana as the, with the contract and to apply 125 towards the health savings account. Any opposition? Mr. Joseph, roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilman Joseph,
No.
Councilman Turner,
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert,
Yes.
Councilman Cluott,
Yes.
Councilman Lawler,
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert,
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson,
Yes.
Chairman Dawson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very much.
Item number 9, approval of request for qualifications for independent certified public accountants to accept the proposal submitted by Falk and Winkler LLC not to exceed $152,000. Ms. Shivers.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On September 26, 2018, the Purchasing Department received 2 proposals for independent certified public accountants. After review, the non-engineering selection committee recommend accepting the proposal submitted by Falk Winkler LLC and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
Got a motion by Councilman Benny Johnson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion's adopted. Thank you, Ms. Shivers. Item number 10, approval of change order number 3, Homeless House Steamboat Project. Ms. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. This is with the Louisiana River Road Steamboat Outlook. This is the Homeless House project that is totally funded by the state, the feds, and Homeless House for any of the funds. So the contractor is asking for a change order for 120 days, and it is a deduction of $880. No, I'm sorry, I gotta put glasses on. I know, don't you get me? $88,999.00. It's a decrease.
Got a motion by Councilman Randy Cluett, second by Councilman Aaron Lawler. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion's adopted. Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Thank you. That's a shame
Don't lose
when I
those
got to have
glasses
my
if you're doing
glasses
your
on.
own. Introduction of ordinances, item number 11, introduction of ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from mixed-use corridor to mobile home park RB district, lot F2 of a 22.930 acre tract and tract A1A2A for Fody Enterprises located on the south side of Lemonville Cutoff Road, approximately 900 feet east of LA Highway 3120, zoning review ID 1798.18.
Introduce.
Motion, ordinance is introduced. Councilman Joseph. Item number 12, introduction of ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from conservation district to mixed-use corridors located on the north side of LA Highway 42, approximately 600 feet west of LA Highway 431, zoning review ID 1775.18.
Motion introduced.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert introduced the ordinance. Item number 13, introduction of ordinance to amend Chapter 18-11 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Subdivision 3, Public Sanitary Sewer, to add Section 18-117.5, Connection and Development Fees, Availability Utilities Committee recommendation.
Motion.
Councilman Cluett introduces. Public hearing of ordinances. Reading of ordinance to revoke an existing 15-foot drainage servitude located across Lot 2B2A of the former Samuel Christie and Lacey May Tillotson property along Samuel Tillotson Road. Mr. Parrington.
To revoke an existing 15-foot drainage servitude located across Lot 2B2A of the former Samuel Christie and Lacey May Tillotson property along Samuel Tillotson Road. Property is depicted on the boundary survey map of lots 2B2A and 2B3A by Clint Quintmon dated July 18, 2016. Whereas the petitioners have petitioned the Ascension Parish Council to revoke an existing 15-foot drainage servitude located across lot 2B2A of the former Samuel Christie and Lacey May Tillotson property along Samuel Tillotson Road. Property is depicted on the boundary map survey of lot 2B2A and lot 2B3A by Clint J. Quintmon dated July 18, 2016. Whereas the Planning Department and Engineering Department have reviewed and researched its request and have no objection to the revocation. The Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it grants approval of the revocation of existing 15-foot drainage servitude located across lot 2B2A of the former Samuel Christie and Lacey May Tillotson property along Samuel Christie Road. Property is depicted on the boundary survey map, lots 2B2A and 2B3A by Clint Whitmore dated July 18, 2016. attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A. All ordinance or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repealed. If any provision of this ordinance is held invalid, such invalidity should not affect other provisions herein, which shall be given full effect without the invalid provisions. And to this end, the provisions of the ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. This ordinance shall be effective 15 days after adoption. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Over. Got a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert to open the public hearing, second by Councilman Benny Johnson. Got a motion by Councilman Randy Cluart to close the public hearing, second by Councilman John Cagnolati. Got a motion by Councilman Randy Cluart, second by Councilman Benny Johnson to move the ordinance. Any discussion, any opposition? Ordinance is adopted. Item number 17, reading of ordinance to revoke an existing 15-foot drainage servitude located across Lot Y1E of the former R.E. Carbo property between Township Road and Urso Road in West Ascension Parish. Flip the page. You ready? Mr. Parrington.
To revoke an existing 15-foot drainage servitude located across Lot Y1E of the former R.E. Carbo property between Township and Urso Roads in West Ascension Parish. Property is depicted on the preliminary family partition boundary survey map of lots Y1A through Y1H by Curtis Janey dated March 9, 2018. Whereas the petitioner is petitioning the Ascension Parish Council to revoke an existing foot drainage servitude located across lot Y1E of the former R.E. Carbo property between Township and also roads of Ascension Parish, West Ascension Parish. Property is depicted on the preliminary family partition boundary survey of lots Y1A through Y1H by Curtis H.M. Cheney, dated March 9, 2018, and whereas the Planning Commission and Engineering Department have reviewed and researched said request and have no objection to the revocation. The Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it grants approval of the revocation of the existing 15-foot drainage servitude located across lots Y1E of the former R.E. Carbo property between Township and also roads in West Ascension Parish. Property is depicted on preliminary family partition boundary survey of lots Y1A through lots Y1H by Curtis M. Cheney dated March 9, 2018, attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A. All ordinance or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith are hereby and henceforth repealed. If any provision of the ordinance is held invalid, such invalidity should not affect the provisions herein, which shall be given full effect without the invalid provisions. To that again, the provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared severable. This ordinance will be effective 15 days after adoption. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Public hearing. Got a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman John Cagnolati. Open the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Got a motion by Councilman Oliver Joseph, second by Councilman Todd Lambert to close the public hearing.
Motion to pass.
Ordinance. Got a motion by Councilman Oliver Joseph to move the ordinance, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion, any opposition? Ordinance is adopted. Item number 20, reading of ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Article 6, Council Procedures, Section 2-91 through 2-120. Mr. Parrington.
To amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 6, Council Procedures, Section 2-91 through Section 2-102, whereas Ascension Parish Local Government Subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44, Louisiana Constitution 1974. Whereas on September 3, 2018, the Strategic Planning Committee proposed certain changes to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it ordained the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the Code of Ordinances of Ascension Parish, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Council Procedures, Section 2-91 through 2-102 be amended as more fully described as Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof. This ordinance shall be full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Public hearing. Got a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Lawler. Open the public hearing. I got a motion by Councilman Oliver Joseph, second by Councilman Cagnolati to close the public hearing. The ordinance, I have copies of this, if you'll indulge me for a minute on there was a lot of questions about this. We postponed it one time. So as consideration of the ordinance, we've got the changes here, and if you guys would like, we can go over the proposed changes, and you can adopt those individually or together. So we'll start under Section 2-95, under Item 5, Only change here is, in the committees, it says that the vice chair shall serve, and if the chair is not there, and we just changed that to may. And in item number 6, this was just the chair shall assign all members, and it says the chair and the vice chair. Mr. Law.
My question on that is, it's creating a potential for conflict without resolution, meaning that if the vice chair and the chair disagree on who they want to put on a committee, we have no way of resolving that resolution. And I think it would go right back to the chair, so I would say eliminate and the vice chair. I mean, I would assume the chair and the vice chair could discuss it ahead of time, but I think the final decision has to rest with the chair.
I agree. Okay, so we'll just scratch out and the vice chair, so that would remain as it is. Is there any objection to that? Anybody object? Okay.
Sorry, OJ.
Let's go to 2-97A, and this is about the sign-up cards, and it says the cards to be, previously it said the speaker cards to be available at the door of the meeting room, and, just as a logistics matter, change that to readily available rather than at the door. Okay, item number C, time allotted, and this is one that we have, I should have brought my notes, but we have council, forgotten the title of this, but it's 2-2, yes, section 2-2, and in that it says, we had already adopted this, and it says that a speaker can't allocate their time to someone else. So this just gets this ordinance in alignment with our previous ordinance, which this previously said the time allotted would be 3 minutes, but at the discretion of the chairman may be allowed additional time if the speaker is speaking for more than himself and has identified so on the card. So this was changed in our other ordinance, and this gets us in compliance with that. Any objections there? Okay. Item number 5, consent agenda. This is again a reflection of what we currently do. So it just added in routine resolutions. It includes various categories of routine resolution and items from council committees that have obtained unanimous approval, which is our practice and has been our practice, as you guys know. Go down to item number 13, and any emergency, it says 2/3, and really that's not in compliance with the open meetings law. It takes unanimous consent, so this is just to make this in compliance with the open meetings law, and it takes away the 2/3 entirely, and it really just says that such items must be in compliance with the current open meetings law. That way, if the law changes, we don't have to change this. Okay, altering usual order of business, and this previously said the chair, on his own volition or upon the majority vote of the council, may alter. And so this is changed to the chair with the majority vote of the parish council may order the usual order of business. Any opposition there? Okay, section 2-99. Again, this is the current procedure that we're using, and I'll read it. The normal path for items to be on the council agenda shall be from an approval by a council committee. However, items may be added to the agenda which do not come from council committees with the sponsorship of 3 council members or 2 council members and the parish president. Administrative items that bypass the normal council committee path must be approved. The normal council, I have to add a by in here, sorry. By the normal council committee chair, the council chair, and the parish president. The reason for bypassing the committee shall be submitted in writing with the request. Presentations, administrative reports, and other items that do not require action by the council are not subject to the above procedure. Now, you know, this was written before the current open meetings law, so here's an example of how this doesn't protect the minority or even a majority view. So if someone, let's just say 7 council members wanted to put an item on the agenda and the council chairman didn't want to put that item on the agenda, there would be no way for it to go. Because it takes 2/3 to remove the chair, and it takes unanimous to add to the agenda once it's published. So this is really to protect the minority view, and it's because things changed as a result of the Louisiana Open Meetings Law. And then this scratched out here, for a matter to be placed on the council agenda, it must be authored or sponsored by a parish council member, the parish president, chief administrative officer. That's not necessary anymore, as we outlined the procedure up above. No, any opposition here? Okay. Section 2-100, item number 4, it scratches this: council members shall not serve on any parish board. And we have council members that currently serve on parish boards. For example, a few of us serve on Ascension Economic Development. I think Councilwoman Casso serves on the library board. So this is just to put us in compliance with what we're currently doing. Item number 9, committees. And these are recommendations. I'm scratching the 3 for executive committee. So this executive committee is really, it's under the open meetings law. It's not possible for the executive committee to meet because it takes 2 people to meet, and if you have 2 people, you have a quorum of the executive committee. So you can't.
I think we had deemed that years back. It's questionable, and
We haven't-
cleared it
we
up
haven't operated
again,
with an
and it may
executive
be
committee
some
for that
language that
reason.
just hung over for a while.
Probably. That's probably correct. Okay, then on personnel committee, item number D3, we added this, and this was at a request of the personnel committee, and it says to review personnel policies and rules and submit to the parish council for adoption in accordance with Article 5, Section 5-04 of the Home Rule Charter. Is that correct, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then item E is again scratching executive committee, and then under what previously was item F, strategic planning committee. This is all the other council committees had a purpose that was outlined. So this is a recommendation that came from strategic planning committee, and it says strategic planning vision, and this was modified once by this council, so you'll see that in red. Strategic planning vision is to promote good governance, we have good planning and monitoring of the overall direction of the parish, to consider matters which help the governing authority to work toward the goal of good governance, using the characteristics of good governance as a guide, and to recommend any other matters to the council that may complement this vision.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
On that first line where it says promote, and we scratch through ensure.
Yes.
I think we should scratch through we have, just promote good.
I'm sorry,
planning
say
and
again.
monitoring. It's just wordsmithing, but they said ensure we have, that fit, but if you take the we have out, it's just promote good.
It's not in there.
Promote good. Take the,
Planning and
I see what you're saying. In the second sentence, remove we have, correct?
You got it in a
Correct.
second.
Okay. Anything else? All right, section 2-102 agendas, because this is all covered in that previous section, this is entirely deleted. All right. We have the ordinance as a whole, I think we should, the motion, if there is one, to adopt as amended.
Make a motion to adopt this.
A motion by Councilman Johnson
One ordinance.
to adopt,
It was introduced in red as one item, so I think it needs to be voted on that way. Unless you-
as one item.
Right.
Well, it is one item, which is, but it's going to be with this one minor, these couple of changes.
Motion to adopt as amended.
And a second by Councilman Cagnalotti. Mr. Kluai.
Yeah, I want to go back to 2-95 and 5. Well, 5 and 6, and that's on page 2, 5 and 6. Where you got, you change, the chair, the vice chair may serve. Now, you're talking about the vice chair of the council at that point?
Yeah.
Okay, and then on 6, the next line, the chair and the vice chair shall assign all members of the council and their respective committees that follow.
So we scratched that. That one went back to the original.
Okay, I might have been taking notes on this.
Did you say a nap or notes?
No,
Okay.
I don't take naps.
All right.
All right. I want to make that clarification.
Further questions, discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, that ordinance is adopted. Item number 26. Oh, I'm sorry. I was ready to go. Reading of ordinance to amend the 23 Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, LDC, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulation, Section 17-4092.1, Appeal Hearing Procedure.
So amend the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, LDC Appeals, Appendix 4, Subdivision Section 17-4092.1, Appeal Hearing Procedure. Whereas Ascension Parish Local Government Subdivision defined by Article 6, Section 44, Louisiana Constitution 1974, whereas Ascension Parish is the governing authority and responsible body of the zoning and regulation within jurisdiction. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. Now therefore be it ordained that the Ascension Parish governing authority, the Unified Land Development Code of the Parish of Ascension, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 17-4092.1, Appeal Hearing Procedure is amended as follows, as more fully described in Exhibit A attached here to and made a part hereof. In the event any portion of the ordinance that held invalid or unconstitutional by any reason by any court of common jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, independent provisions, shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The ordinance shall be in full effect as submitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Got a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert to open the public hearing, second by Councilman Cagnalotti. Got a motion by Councilman Oliver Joseph, close the public hearing, second by Councilman Todd Lambert, close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Got a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert to move the ordinance, second by Councilman John Cagnalotti. Question, Mr. Lawler.
Yeah, my concern with this is we're giving the appellants in this essentially 20 minutes, and generally they're going to have an attorney there that argues for them, and we're going to rely on that the appellee is going to have 3 minutes spoken by the public, who may have no training and no skills to do this. It just doesn't seem like a fair shake for the appellee in the situation. I'd make a substitute motion that we send this back to the committee to look at a way to allow the appellee to have an equal shot at the apple on this. Because right now, it doesn't really look fair the way it's set up. And we've seen it before in a lot of these meetings. We have an attorney get up there and talk for 10 minutes, and we have the general public get up there and many times do very well, but not always as well as maybe they could do. And we're assuming that the appellee that's 3 minutes is going to be the public all against it. You may have people that are equally for it, and then the appellant again gets to get up and have 10 more minutes. I think we need to look at if there's a way to allow both sides to have 10 minutes and maybe designate a speaker on both sides. So I think this should go back to committee. So I'll make a substitute motion that this is sent back to the committee from which it came, which I'm assuming is strategic planning.
Well, this came from
us. This
Mr.
only came for one reason. This is what it is now. The action to reverse requires 2/3 vote by state law. So that was the only change we put in this was to do that.
That's why I want to make it clear.
But I didn't know where this came from. I thought
And
it
we
came from
can't
strategic
limit
planning.
the public from commenting. So if you have 20 speakers, they get an hour, they each get their 3 minutes. That's why it came about this way.
No, I understand that. I was looking at a way to even have a designation.
We can't stop anybody from speaking on any matter on the agenda.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You allow the 3 minutes for the public to speak on, but I think we should explore ways. I guess we can keep this, but then I'd like to see this taken up by the Strategic Planning Committee at some point to see if there's a way to allow the appellee an equal shot at the apple on this.
Okay.
Most times, in practice, they get way more time than that because they usually have more than one speaker and they each get 3 minutes, and we can't limit that. That's usually what occurs, is that the opposition will have 10 people, so they'll speak for 30 minutes, and we're actually limiting the appellate.
Well, but I guess my point is, if we have 10 people on each side in the public, then the appellant has got 20 more minutes than the other side. I'm just trying to make it equal on each side, but that's something we can look at later. I withdraw my substitute motion, and I'll support this.
So any further discussion? Any opposition? Now, item 26.
Motion to adjourn.